Welcome to 52 Weeks of Hope. This is where you get to hear how to feel happy, balanced, and worthwhile. How to make that lonely ache vanish and feel empowered, confident, and secure. I'm Lauren Abrams, and I get to help you feel that magic again since going through my own dark night of the soul by chatting with incredible leaders, healers, and elders who give us their message of hope after overcoming challenges of their own. Today, we're talking to the amazing money and magic manifestor extraordinaire, Morgana Rae. Do you ever wonder why money flows effortlessly to some people and not to others? Ready to have money flow to you? Have you ever looked at your relationship with money the way you do your other relationships? That's how Morgana coaches you and teaches you to turn your life around with money. She's been making money fall in love with people for years as a money coach. She's also clearly in the relationship business because she's married her husband around 25 times all over the world, which is just so much fun. She's here today helping you manifest more magic and money in your life. Welcome to 52 Weeks of Hope, Morgana.
Oh my God, I love that introduction, especially because you spoke about the dark night of the soul, and I've been there. I know what that's like. I also know really intimately what it feels like to despair of ever making money doing what you love and what you're gifted at. You know, it seems like it should be a no-brainer, like you're good at it, you help people, and you should get paid. But I also know from my own experience in coaching thousands of people that is so often not the case, especially with healer types and do-gooders and carers. And then I went down that same like rabbit hole, dark night of the soul in love, and used the same approach actually to change my relationship with love that I used to change my relationship with money. And I met my husband 2 months later. And he was the one who came up with the idea to get married 100 times in 100 countries. And by the way, I was 45 when I met him. I was 47 when I got married for the first time in my life. So I'm a late bloomer. And it's worth the wait for the right person. If only I had believed that all those years that I was searching. But oh my God, the right person is worth the wait. And the right relationship with money, the right relationship with life is something that you can turn on at any time in your life.
Okay, that was chock full of so much information right there. There's your dark night of the soul. There was, okay, how did you use your money relationship to work on yourself, to meet your husband? Because I know I have a lot of listeners that are going to want to know that. We'll start just with that. And also then I'm like, wait, you must have met Ariel Ford.
I am friends with Ariel Ford.
Yeah. Okay, good. So I figured we had to have that Ariel Ford. Yeah. Ariel and Brian are amazing. And
she was a guest on my podcast.
Yeah. She's been on this one as well. She was great. She said this is the best time to date ever because you could ask people questions you could never ask pre-pandemic. Anyway,
well, and just being a grown-up is, you can ask questions and be yourself. And if the person isn't the right person, I'm 54. I met my husband when I was 45. And there's just a certain point in your life where you realize, I can't waste 2 years on the wrong person another 20 times. So you really just start to get more courageous. I did. And also being a coach for so many years gave me sort of the superpowers of nosiness where I felt totally cool saying, so why did you get divorced? To the man who's now my husband. I'm his second wife 25 times over. But I was like, yeah. And his answer is a lot of why we're here together today was he had such kindness and admiration in everything he has ever said about his ex-wife. He has to this day never ever trashed her. I've met her. She's lovely. And, the worst thing that can happen is you find out that you don't like a person when you ask them that nosy question for the information that you need to see if this person is your person.
Yeah.
I didn't even know how I got on that. It was the Ariel Ford.
Yeah. Probably. Okay, so your dark night of the soul.
Oh, which one? Let's start with the money because that touches everything. So this was back in 2003, and I had been coaching a lot of movie stars and producers and directors to get their first TV shows, get their first films or sell their first films. And I already had a sort of a mountain of testimonials. And I had all these coaching certifications, and I'm a good student, Ivy League, National Merit Scholar. Like, give me a class, I'll take it. I'll do what I'm told. Good girl. And I was taking all these classes on marketing and selling and all that kind of stuff. None of it was working. And let me tell you what not working means is that even though I had all these testimonials and I was good at marketing and I had the website and the tagline, and the business cards and the certifications and all of the trainings, I was living in Los Angeles and making $100 a month. And that is not an easy thing to pull off when you're really qualified. It was like I had superpowers of money repulsion that no class and no vision board and no mantra and nothing I did could overcome. And I was taking everybody's classes and doing everything I was told and going to weird, wacky healers and working with great coaches and taking great classes. And it didn't matter. At my low point, I was making $100 a month living in one of the most expensive cities in the world. So I'm sharing this with you. I am like proudly the poster child of failure here. And I hope that I'm like, winning this competition, with anybody watching who's like, oh, no, I'm the worst. No, I still claim that mantle. And here's the thing, like I can joke about it now because it's been a couple decades and a few $1 million since then. But I had just finished taking a class on sales. Not only was I not making money, but I was throwing money at all these classes. And I was taking the classes. And I remember I took a class on overcoming sales objections. And if you don't know what that means, it's like there are people who will teach you what to say. If somebody says, oh, I'd love to, but I can't afford it or I don't have time. I don't even remember what you're supposed to say. But at that time, I had all these scripts and I was a good little student and I would plug in the magic words and they would work. And then the client wouldn't show up 7 times in a row. Clients didn't show up and I didn't get paid. Doing everything, every teacher, every coach, everybody told me to do, every proven system, like God, gag, proven system. I would do all of these proven systems and I would fail anyway. And after that 7th no-show, I lost it. I just, as my husband would say, I didn't know him at the time, but I love this metaphor. The wheels came off the cart and I just ran out of hope. And it's hope is like our fuel. And when you run out, it's like the rug is pulled out from under you and you're out. And I remember being in my little apartment bedroom, pulling the blackout curtains, like turning the room into a, little blackout crypt, getting on my bed, laying down and wailing and screaming and just crying my heart out. I was so angry and frightened and hurt, despairing, just grieving for my dream of making a living, just a damn living. I wasn't trying to even be rich. I just wanted to support myself. And it felt like this cruel joke after a lifetime of thinking that it was going to be easy because I was an A student and everybody told me do well in school and you'll do great in life. Ha! What a lie. So I felt hated by the universe. I hated the universe back and I didn't want to be here. I was like, I finally knew what I was here to do. I had a gift. Miracles happened when I coached people. Actors with no credits booked primetime hit TV series. Won awards. First-time directors were selling their movies. I had this magic touch and I couldn't make money at it. And I loved what I did and I knew I was good at it and it felt like a cruel joke and I did not want to be alive. And it was a really bad place to be. Frightening. How am I going to survive?
So what did you do about it?
Well, the doing came a little later. first, when I cried myself out, it was like I opened up to a little bit of intuition. And I heard this voice in the back of my head, and I'm sure you all have some version of this voice. You know what I'm talking about. And the voice was something along the lines of, well, maybe money needs to be my next area of spiritual growth. And I have to come clean and say that is such a cheat, because I'm from Southern California and like spirituality is easy for us. But the idea was, well, since I'm way more comfortable being spiritual than making money, maybe if I made money spiritual, maybe then I could sneak it into my life. So, but there's also a lot of truth to money needed to be my next area of spiritual growth. If I wanted to help people, part of the ability to help people was I had to clean up my own financial house so that I was available to help people and not distracted. So my attention could be on the person that I want to serve, and instead of my own, oh my God, I need to survive. And then the second thought came was kind of this curiosity. I wonder what is inside of me that can't be with money. Because consciously, I was doing everything I was supposed to do, and that was not showing up in my results. And I just had this hunch, something that I don't know is inside of me, pushing it away. I wonder what that is. And the next day, I had my next call with my coach. So here I am, not making enough money to pay rent, much less all the classes I was taking. And the classes I was taking were out of town. So I was flying out of town every couple of weeks to take a class, to not make money, right? And I had my coach. And I have to say, thank God, because I wouldn't be here if I didn't have the right coach at the right moment. And he had this strange, out of the blue, unexpected, intuitive hit. And he asked me the question that changed my life. So this is where you really want to lean in, because the question he asked was, if your money was a person, who would your money be? And lucky for me, I was in that dark night of the soul, because it wouldn't have happened if I wasn't there. And if you're not there, it just means we have to dig a little bit deeper. But if you are in one of those dark places, congratulations. Not because I want you in pain. I don't. But it means that you are already on the edge. You're already on the verge. It is so much easier to do this process when it's available to you, because we want to light up your neurology. We want you to feel everything, because that's when your brain, and I'm going to be all sciencey here, your brain will have the neuroplasticity that we can reprogram it. It's like we can, when you're like, and you're having a full body experience, that's when we can like scratch the record and lay down a new track that stays. It's not easy to make a dramatic life change when it's just an intellectual exercise. So I know that lots of coaches out there love to have like a list of limiting beliefs, and you can go, oh yeah, and you're just not engaged, and that doesn't change things. And I'm a drama queen, obviously. So I like dramatic results. I like the results like the client who was hundreds of thousands of dollars into student debt, who now is the creator of Latina Wall Street and is on the Forbes Business Council, and just was filmed on Latin America's #1 TV show last night. You know, I love that kind of stuff. So here's what you do.
You know, I think it's also like we can hear what we can hear.
Yeah.
I mean, your coach said this to you, and to me, it resonates so much.
Well, it's interesting because when I started to do this with my own clients, because on the other side of the process that I love to teach, that I'm known for, 4 people hired me the next day at double what I'd ever charged before. And they kept coming and coming and coming. And I started having wait lists and group coaching, and I charge a lot now.
Yeah.
And I don't have to do any manipulation, any scarcity tactics. I just don't. All I do is I state my fee and my clients know. And it's easy. It's like soft butter. I recoil against pressure techniques. It's not my value system. But I had to grow big enough in myself and have a really different relationship with money to be able to create that. And it didn't happen. Well, it happened overnight, but the dollar amounts evolved over time. So, but the reason I brought that up is because when I started doing this with clients and figuring out how to make it work for other people, I invited my coach to be a business partner with me. And he said no. He said that it was just like a one-time thing with me. And it only worked on me and never worked on anybody else. So this was really my work in the world. But by the way, his name is Chuck Allen. He's a great coach. I love him. You can look him up, lots of kudos to him. So I usually don't name him, but I don't know why not. He's a great coach. So but this process,
it was your path.
It was my path because, in all honesty, the first few times I tried it with other people, and I wasn't marking it at all for another year or two. But when you have when you have clients and your clients are human beings, the likelihood that they have money issues is extremely high. So I wanted to help them with that. So I would try the thing that worked for me. And then I go, why didn't it work for them like it did for me? Oh, and I would find out what needs to happen for the transformation to happen and then the results to happen. So that's one of the secrets. I just try to give away everything I can think of in the time we have.
So you've been doing this a long time. Do you still teach money and relationships the same way? Has it evolved over time, over years?
It's radically evolved. Every client, and I've been doing this since early 2003. I've been coaching since 94. But this in particular, I've been coaching since March 2003. And every client teaches me something new, which is wonderful. And I do we were talking about this before the interview, I do my money goddess retreat for a handful of women, like really, really just 1 week of diving deep with between 4 and 8 women. And until this year, I always did it in Bali because of the pandemic. Bali is closed.
Bali. I know.
Because it's Bali. Yeah,
I know.
And there's something about going a really long distance and being away from home that is super duper conducive to creating a pattern interrupt and life change. And it's Bali, which I love. So, but in these retreats, I've had women from South Africa and Kazakhstan and Thailand, Germany and Peru and every continent except South Africa. I've had retreats where I was the only English as a first language person in the room. Haiti, just lots of different places. This year, we've got someone from Israel and someone from, I think it's pronounced San Lucia in the Caribbean. But I had a year where the client from Kazakhstan didn't even spoke so little English that I wasn't even sure if it was going to work. And the reason sometimes I tell a story and I forget why I'm telling it, but it was going back to learning something from every client. I learned how little the words actually matter. It's, first of all, when we're digging deep to do the process, and I'll explain what I mean, I like to start with the root cause. What are the wounds behind the money issues that cause the money issues? You will never find the root cause of the money problem in money itself. It's always the stuff that money represents. And it doesn't matter whether what my client is telling me is factually true or not, doesn't matter, because it's emotionally true and it's having a true effect on their lives. And then I got to the point where, wow, it doesn't even matter if we understand the words, I can understand the emotion and the energy of the person in front of me, and I can change that. And my Kazakhstan woman, it worked. It worked. Because over time, you know, anything you do thousands of times, you get better at.
Now, you have a whole podcast on midlife love. You have a podcast, Crazy, Sexy Midlife Love. And you mentioned a little while ago, you got when you met your husband and you got married. And you have a thing where you get married in all these different countries a whole bunch of times. And I love that you celebrate love. Do your money and your relationship to money and then celebrating love, does all that, it's got to tie together.
Oh, it's so tied together. I believe that every money issue is a love issue if you dig deep enough. So to have money in my life, I had to make it safe. And I didn't recognize that it wasn't safe until my coach said, if money were a person, who would your money be? And I was in such a dark, painful, wounded, beat up place that like my money in that moment was this big, scary, dirty, violent biker who terrified me. And I never knew that I felt that way about money until that moment. Like, why? I never knew that I felt that way. But when I saw that money was this scary guy, suddenly my results made sense, because your unconscious is where all your results come from, because it never sleeps and it's 24/7, no matter what you're doing on the conscious level. So you have to get them on the same team. And I knew that if money was this guy, I could never have it in my life because it was dangerous. And there were very real and good reasons for me to push it away. Conflicts, childhood stuff, all that. That's like the first step, is uncovering the why and then personifying it into a person, because that makes it visible and makes it changeable. We know how to relate to people a lot more real. The relationship becomes real when we make it a person. It's no longer some sort of abstract concept, intellectual concept. So I had to get rid of the biker, which created a new problem, because I live in LA and I just got rid of my only relationship with money. And I needed somebody safe and desirable enough that I could have that person in my life, even if it was money, because I still felt so like wounded and scared of this money person. So I needed something really different. And I asked myself, who could I want in my life so much that I would want this person, even if it's money? And then this tall, dark, handsome, romantic young man, imaginary, popped into my mind in a tuxedo, red flowers, in love with me, safe, sweet, wanted to woo me. And I thought, whoa, that's weird. Wow. Like, cool, but weird, because I'd never thought of money loving me or wanting me or wooing me. And it's a very safe, non-aggressive, just like sweet, romantic guy. And I could also feel how much I had been breaking his heart for years, pushing him away when he wanted to be with me, which gave me a sense of how much power I have. And when I say I mean you, because you have a body. So when we feel like money is calling the shots, that's a monster. And that's what we want to get rid of. Anything that makes you feel unlovable, unworthy, unsafe, not good enough, anything you've been ashamed of, anything that makes you feel powerless, that goes into the root cause. That's step one. And when you build up enough of it that it's like, then it's this huge leap of imagination. So if this were a person, what would this person feel like? Is the temperature hot or cold? What does it smell like? Is it male or female? What does he say to you? And then maybe what do his hands look like, his teeth, his eyes, his hair, his clothing? And then we flush, then you can see him. And then you can go, ew, not in my life. Thank you. Bye. And you get rid of him. And that's step 3. And just whipping you through the process really quickly. And the connection to love will make sense in a nanosecond. On the other side, when the monster is gone, all that exists is love. So it's more like this, like relationship with love that we call money, because money is this area that needs our love and our healing so that we can thrive, because money affects everything. So we call this the money honey, and it works best as a lover archetype. Now, I've coached a lot of people who have sexual trauma. And if you can't start with someone sexy, that's fine. That's fine. Start with something that feels safe, feels like a partner, not somebody that's going to rescue you, because then you're back in a money monster dynamic. We want a partner where you have the power and your money honey adores you, loves you, chooses you over everybody else on planet Earth. You don't have to do anything to earn the love. And that is your money honey. And you're like, I dig you and I feel safe with you and I want to be with you. That's step 4. Step 5 is then you have a conversation. What do you need from me so you can stay with me? Which is a very, very, very different question than what do you need from me so you can love me? The love is already there. If it's not, it's a monster. Get rid of it, start over. But you have the power. So what do you need from me so you can stay with me? The ball is in your court. And then you have this amazing access to your highest intuition without any of your neuroses. And your money honey will tell you. And the stuff your money honey will tell you is all stuff that's really good for you, because your happiness is what really turns your money honey on. Your self-worth, your self-value, your integrity, your authenticity, your ability to love yourself are all things that are so attracted to your money honey. And guess what? To cash. Who knew? And then finally, you make a deal. Like, it's, if your money honey says, I want you to love yourself, you're like, great, I can do that sometimes. And sometimes not so much. So we want to make it really easy for you. And step number 6 is take a concrete, measurable action that demonstrates to you and your money honey that this relationship has changed. Doesn't matter what it is. It can be getting a pedicure. And if it turns your money honey on, go for it. And I'm really, really serious, because I have had clients whose money honey said, get a pedicure, and they got a pedicure and they received thousands of dollars. And I love stuff that doesn't make sense. So how does that relate to love?
Well, by the way, if anybody, all of this will be on the website, and Morgana has written books on this, and we'll have all of her links on the website. So don't worry. Yeah. You have to take notes, keep driving, drive safe. Just walk, enjoy whatever you're doing. Okay, go ahead.
I'm trying to cram in 20 years of content into 5 minutes.
No, okay. How's it relate to love is where you left off.
Right. Yeah. You do not have to master it. You can come back. I have many more resources. You can take your time. I'm just trying to give you some context here. So how money relates to love. First, in my life, my money honey, during all those years that I was single, my money honey would actually say to me, hold out for someone who loves me as much as I do. To me, he told me that I could only pick someone who loved me. I could only pick a human honey who would love me as much as my money honey does. And because he wanted me to be happy and be loved. There came a point, it's so humiliating to share this, but I'm so okay sharing it anyway, where I would find myself teaching my relationship with money stuff and talking about how when you're doing everything you're supposed to be doing and you aren't getting the results that you should be getting, on some level, you are protecting yourself from what you want, and you are not a failure. You're just very, very successful at protecting yourself from a real threat. The problem is you want it and you need it, and protecting yourself is not serving you. But we need to find out why it's dangerous so we can make it safe. And here I'm saying this over and over and over again, looking for years for my love. And I had that, oh crap moment where I realized that's what I'm doing with love. I'm protecting myself from love. I have to do the damn same thing with my relationship with love. So I created a love monster. And I slayed my love monster. And I met my husband 2 months later. And it gets worse. My husband and my money honey say the same stuff. It's like they gang up on me. And they say stuff like, those people don't like you. They just want your mailing list. Respect yourself more. Choose better friends. Just like it's so annoying. They're like, they just want the best for me and they gang up on me with love. And it's annoying, but it's also the best thing in the world.
Yeah, no, to gang up on you with love, how great is that?
I can see my husband talk to me and then I could just like see my money honey behind him laughing because my money honey's been telling me this. And now my husband is like, maybe I should get the message. And it's good to be loved. When I met my husband and we started dating, I already had really, really dramatic results with clients making. It's really not unusual at all for someone listening, just even to something like this, to send me an email and say, I listened, I did this, and I made $10,000 out of the blue. Like the $10,000 number comes up all the time. And I've also had emails of $100,000. But what happened after I fell in love with my husband is my coaching clients started making millions more often, more millions, and faster. So there's this kind of mojo of love that expands things, not just for me, but for my clients too.
Yeah, of course. The vibration's been raised. And yeah, of course, that totally makes sense. So now let's get to your crazy, sexy midlife love. And I didn't want to say your podcast wrong, but I love the midlife love and how you get married and you all over the world renew your vows or marriage. I don't know. You tell me. I don't want to.
100% my husband's idea. I was 47. I was leading my Money Goddess retreat in Bali, and it had just finished. And my husband was on a photo safari in South Africa. So he would have to get up at like 2:00 in the morning and have a Sherpa accompany him through the brush where he was almost eaten by a lion, just so he could talk to me on a bad Skype connection for 5 minutes, right? And we had a couple weeks of these conversations and the retreat was over. And we had a week of these really uncomfortable conversations where my husband would start the conversation going, I don't think I'm the right man for you because, and I'd be like, and he would tell me all of his concerns and insecurities and anxieties. And then he would finish the conversation going, you know what? I'm only having this conversation with you because I care about you and I want this to work. And I'd be like, and then it would start over the next day. And this happened 5 days in a row. But on the 5th day, instead of why we should break up, he was like, I think we should get married. I was like, I had to screw on my head straight because of the whiplash. And I had known that we'd been together for maybe 18 months. And I knew 6 months in that he was the one. I just knew. I felt safe with him. It was clear. And I made a decision when he asked, I would say yes and never worried about it. I thought it would take him another 4 years. So then I freaked out because it was so much sooner than I expected. But I said yes. I flew home from Bali, picked him up from South Africa the next day, and we eloped. Like the most it was like we eloped, no witnesses, nothing, just done.
Oh,
Check off that bucket list. I wasn't expecting
you to say that. That was not, that actually really surprised me. I
was 47. I did not want the hassle of like, oh my God, booking the banquet room. And it just seems so stressful. If you're 20 and your mommy and daddy are doing it, that's one thing. But I didn't want to do all the work. I just wanted to elope and be married, happily married to the love of my life. But then 2 weeks later, my husband had a photo assignment in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. And he wrote to them saying, hey, listen, I just got married. Can I bring my wife? And they said, sure, make it a honeymoon. And we had the honeymoon suite with the most amazing view of my life. And they sent us on sunset wine cruises and massages. And then they dropped us off in the center of Puerto Vallarta and said, have fun. And we were walking by their iconic cathedral, Our Lady of Guadalupe. And my husband was thinking, well, there were some things that I didn't say the first time we got married 2 weeks ago. And he thought, oh, wouldn't it be funny if we got married again? So he said to me, hey, you want to get married again? And I said, yeah, sure, absolutely. And we walked into this cathedral, sweaty and filthy. greasy from a massage, dirty from, walking all over town, and went to the front of the cathedral, took off our rings and made up new vows. And this time, because I'd been married for 13 days, so I had a little bit of experience, it landed so much deeper. It felt so much more real. And we had all these witnesses in the pews, and they started cheering, and I was tearing up, and he saw that it really meant something to me. And that's when he decided, let's do this everywhere. And a day later, he proposed 100 weddings in 100 countries. And that was an easy yes. And by the way, for anyone
I'm so doing this. I mean, we have to do this.
Please. It's honestly 25 weddings, and we've had castles and pageants, and we've had like 40 Mayan dancers in Mexico, and
So
all of it
do you
less
just walk in
expensive than
anywhere?
one.
Do you just walk in?
Yes, you can walk in. We've also been thrown weddings. Like, I would get an email from an event planner in Canada saying, hey, if you speak at our event, we'll marry you. Or Mexico, if you speak at our event, we'll marry you. So we've had some really fancy, and my husband is a travel writer. So Turkey flew us to Turkey, put us in, they married us in this like 700-year-old house and courtyard, put us in costumes, and I rode in on a horse, and the Minister of Culture married us on network television in Turkey. So we've had some wild, if you go to crazysexymidlifelove.com, you can actually see a 3-minute trailer with our first 11 weddings. And some of them are fancy, and some of them are like, hey, will you just read this script and marry us in the lobby? And all of it is good, because really all that matters is the two people getting married and our vows, because the prize is not the wedding. Even though we're getting married 100 times, the prize is not the wedding, the prize is the relationship. And we get married over and over again, because every time we get married, we have more information, and we choose each other anyway. It's like, I know more about my husband's flaws. I know more about his vulnerabilities. I know more about who he is, and I choose him. And it's more real every time. It's deeper. It's richer. I think it's a great relationship practice.
So what did you do during the pandemic when you couldn't travel?
Not much. My husband wrote into the second draft of his second book. This is his book about our weddings and about relationship and what works and what doesn't. And it's tentatively titled Reluctant, My First 11 Weddings. Even though we're at 25. Yeah, we just, I have to say that being locked up with somebody you adore is not so bad. Like, on one hand, it was horrible. The pandemic was horrible, but it was also really, really sweet that if I'm going to be like, what do you call it? Just like captive in the house for a year or more, it's wonderful to be with somebody you adore. I'm also the introvert. So it was much harder for him. And the first thing we did when we got our vaccines was, I was like on the internet booking us a flight out of the country just to travel again.
Yeah. Where'd you go?
We went to Mexico, San Miguel de Allende. We've been there a lot of times. We were married there in like 2017, but we keep going back because it's 3 hours away from, it's a 3-hour flight, and it's beautiful. It's where I'm doing my Money Goddess retreat in September. So it was kind of, I could use that as an excuse.
Yeah. You got to check. Make sure it's
still there, right?
Yeah. Make sure it's good. Everything's good. And for that, I know you have a couple spots left, and that's it.
Yeah, it's tiny. It's my favorite thing. And I fall in love with the women, and we stay in relationship forever. So
yeah, I know those little retreats are amazing. Do you have regular practices you do, or practices you do on a regular basis? You're nodding yes already. You know, okay, okay. What are those?
So some of my favorite things to do are on a daily basis. I like to practice preemptive gratitude. It's very, very easy. I was like raised to expect the worst. So what we do is we rehearse for the worst and then we're unprepared for the best. So I like to practice preemptive gratitude for what I want to have happen, because I believe it sort of lubricates the wheels of the universe for what I want happening. I like to write because I'm very kinesthetic, but it however works for you works for you. There is no right way, but I like to write down anything that's challenging me, any negative beliefs I have. And then what does my money honey say? Oh, because and by the way, it's like sometimes you need that fuel. So having those negative beliefs or challenges is like, it kind of gives your money honey something to do, to respond to. And that's where the, best wisdom and breakthroughs happen, is when you can like come up with some terrible, terrible metaphor here, but some fertilizer for the roses.
I totally understand. And the way you describe your gratitude, I don't want to put words in your mouth. Instead of a gratitude list, you're speaking in terms of being like if you were single, saying, I'm so grateful and thankful that my soulmate is here now. Is it that sort of a gratitude, or do you mean a gratitude list?
Well, I love gratitude lists. My book, okay, visual plug. Hello, Financial Alchemy, 12 Months of Magic and Manifestation. Yes. You can get on Amazon. And if you get it on Amazon, insider tip, go to my website, go to the book page, drop in your name, email address, and the receipt number to get an extra top secret bonus on top of the one that's inside the book. Nobody just getting it on Amazon knows about that. But so, yeah, I like gratitude lists. I love those. But I am grateful for, and I don't put it in the present tense because it's not true. Like if my guy isn't here, I don't want to lie to myself because that creates a disconnect. But if I love to give gratitude. Like the easiest one is I am grateful for the amazing things that are going to happen that I don't know about. Or I am thank you for the great day that I'm going to have. I am grateful for today's upcoming yoga class. I am grateful for the 2 ideal clients that I'm going to book this month. I am grateful for the end of COVID. And, just be honest about it's in the future, but it's also great to have a great future.
Yeah, I'm grateful for all the miracles that I'm open that are happening in my life.
That are coming, like the big money breakthrough, the big romantic breakthrough. I'm grateful for my next wedding. Just whatever, put it there. There was a study in Wales years ago about affirmations, that affirmations made people feel worse. Because if you're 300 pounds and you're affirming that you're thin, it just magnifies the gap and people felt worse about themselves. So we don't want to lie to ourselves. But what we do want to do is we want to open a door to the direction that we're going. And that's part of going in that direction, is saying, this is where I'm aiming. Universe, just letting you know this is where I'm aiming. And then just like the 6th step in financial alchemy, the process that I raced you through is concrete measurable action. I believe that if you want to see real world physical results, you want to take real world physical action because it changes you. And it kind of lets the universe know you're serious. And there's an energy to doing an action. So you take actions that support what you're grateful for. So you don't just sit on the couch and go, $1 million, $1 million, and wait for your money honey to go get it for you, because that doesn't evolve you. And that's not why we're here on earth.
And I was taught, and I've said this before, sorry if you've heard this before from me, but I was taught God doesn't drive parked cars. He can't sit in the corner and go, I want this or I want that. That's my truncated way of saying what you just said so eloquently. And I actually have my palms open so I can receive everything you're saying. Yeah. So what do you do about people who are like, oh, come on, Morgana, that's just a bunch of, or do you not even attract those kind of people or come into contact with them anymore after all these years?
Oh, those people exist and they're not my people. And I think that if you aren't repelling anybody, you aren't doing your job, because then there's no definition to you. I'm really not supposed to be for everybody. But the thing is, the people that I am for know who they are and they're passionate. So I don't have to convince them. I don't have to sell to them. And if I find myself convincing, that's like, back off. That's not my job in the world. I have been a top person in e-commerce for a lot of years, which is ridiculous to me because I consider myself a terrible salesperson, because I get all the like techniques. We were joking about this, the proven systems and funnels and all that kind of stuff. It's not that I'm against funnels. I'm against manipulation because it
doesn't feel good.
Yeah, it's not my value system, and my money honey has my values. So we don't make money honey and I don't make money if I don't feel good about something. If I don't get to feel like a great person and feel like Santa Claus, and it's a person I love and it's a person who wants me, it's just not going to happen. So, but I've been in a bunch of high level masterminds. Like I would win spots in masterminds with a bunch of guys, like big name e-commerce guys who a lot of people are really into. And some of them just don't get me. And I was at one where the host like mocked what I do and called it like money, honey, bunny, and didn't get it at all. But the funny thing is, while he was mocking me, there was some woman that I didn't know walking behind me going, "Oh my God, Morgana Rae, I love your stuff." So I'm not for the guy, but I'm for the other person. And it's a lot easier if I just let people know what they want.
Yeah.
And it totally hurts when people make fun of me, but life is okay.
Yeah, I just watched somebody live streaming my friend's wedding, and all these people were commenting and saying stuff because she's a public figure. I went, oh my God, I don't think I could handle all this. Looking at what some people are saying, such nice things, but then you've also got the other, and oh my gosh.
Well, here's a tip, especially if you have a YouTube channel, is put all the comments on that setting where you can check it before it goes live. So if somebody's insane, you can just delete it and never see it again. But I kid you not, this week I got an email from a fan, and I don't even know who she is because I just see her email address and her online, handle, but I'm not sure who the person is. I don't think we've ever met. But she's been following my stuff, and she was telling me, just by using my stuff without me, about all these really, really wonderful things happening in her life, which I get so turned on by. And then she told me that she attended a teleclass of another coach who will not be named, a younger, newer coach who was ripping off my material and trash talking me for the first 10 minutes of her webinar. And I took a look at the person's website, and her ethos, her whole mode is like so different than mine that I'm really not worried. Like, there are intellectual property issues, and I always protect my intellectual property. But because you were talking about the naysayers, this girl is just so young and foolish. First of all, she's giving me so much free publicity, and she's churning off the people who know me. Like the woman who wrote to me might have been a customer, but was so turned off by this woman, didn't understand my work, and then had to attack me. And I've never even met that person. And that is just doing business in public. And again, be you, and your people will sort for you.
Absolutely. Always. Yeah. I was just on something yesterday, and that was the message always. Just be yourself. Don't try to be anybody else, and to listen. that people need someone to listen.
Yeah. The more you can go into the specifics of your story and your values, the better. But always make it about the people you're here to serve. And I like to say your wealth is in your weirdness. Don't be vanilla. There's just a lot of vanilla.
Yeah. You're the only other person I've heard use that term vanilla. I use it in the legal arena a lot. Like, I don't use vanilla mediators. I don't use vanilla this. I don't usually use it, but it's nice to hear somebody else use that term. Do you have a message of hope? Oh, sorry. You have something you wanted to say. Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, clients are so much like dating. Like, don't be with the guy who doesn't adore you. Ladies, if you like a guy, don't text him, don't call him, don't chase him. You will, and I learned this from my friend Evan Mark Katz, who's a dating coach.
I know Evan.
I love Evan.
Oh, Evan's great. He was on in February. Yeah, we ended up in like a whole different discussion, but I love Evan too. Yeah.
Yeah. But
I learned that from him too.
Yeah. Like, if you want to know how a guy feels about you, do nothing. And if he digs you, he'll be calling you and texting you and asking you out. And it's like your people, the people who make fun of you or the people who dig you. It's just like dating. It's not your job to trick somebody into liking you. You know, your job is to just sort for the people who dig you and benefit from you, whether it's dating or clients. And it's a vast, vast ocean. And it may not feel like that when you're starting your business or the money is tight. So use all of the hurt, all of the rejection, all of the fear, all of the scarcity, and put that into the root cause of your money monster. Make all the worst things that ever happened in your life and in the world, make them go to work for you. You've already been through the experience. You paid the price of admission. And now you get to use it like a slingshot. And it's sort of I know a lot of law of attraction type coaches in the world are like, oh no, don't have any bad vibes or the sky will fall. And I'm like, no, what you want to do is you want to go into as deep and loud as you can into everything that doesn't belong, because it's like a slingshot and it creates the tension that you need to catapult you way over into what you want. So you want that polarity. There's a magic, a stretchiness to it. So if you have those experiences, you get to use them, and you get to use them for the rest of your life. You don't have to be tortured by them. But whenever you want to break through, you can just dip back into that and catapult yourself again.
Yeah, definitely. So what I started to ask you is if you have a message of hope that you want to give.
I think that was it.
Okay, I do too. I absolutely do. Do you have something that you would tell somebody who's having a hard time struggling? There's kind of, I don't know, maybe it works for you guys, doesn't work for me.
I love that. I use that all the time. So the way that works is your money monster is so devious and so cruel and conniving that he will convince you that this will work for other people, but doesn't work for you because there's something so wrong and so damaged about you, and the world hates you so much that it's going to work for all these other people, but won't work for you. I say, use that. Put that into your money monster. Go to town, because almost everybody has that.
Okay.
Just if you want to, I promised, if you want to dive deeper, here's where I would tell you to go is start with my free, easy peasy, no trauma money love quiz. It's a self-assessment. Just go to doesmoneyloveyou.com. It's easy. It will take you 2 minutes tops, and it will paint a picture of where you are on your journey, because we're all on a journey, and it'll show you where you're strong and where you're challenged. And it will generate a personalized recommendation specific to where you are and what you need of what to do next. And there will be some like free suggestions and if you're ready for the next step, some other options. It's always completely up to you, but that's a good place to start.
I saw that on the website. I went, oh, everyone loves quizzes like that.
Right?
Yeah. So yeah, they're so fun. Yeah. So the quizzes on your website, I'll put that up on our website too.
It's at morganarae.com, my website, or you can just jump straight to it at doesmoneyloveyou.com.
Okay. So that's great. Is there anything I should have asked you that I didn't ask you? Anything you can think of?
I think you were thorough. Okay. I thought you asked great questions. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Was there anything left that you wanted to ask that fell out of your brain?
No. Is there anything that people really misunderstand about you?
I don't know.
I think you're pretty you, but go ahead. Something came to you.
Yeah.
I saw that.
People who don't know me and don't really know my work will mistake me for a law of attraction coach. And no dispersion on law of attraction coaches. That's just not me or my path. I think law of attraction people really like my work, but I have a degree in religion, and I come from a real sort of more like whole person. There's the academic part and there's the what works part, but I'm really, really practical. I am so unprepared for this question, but the thing is what I do is not fluffy. That first part of uncovering the money monster, and I go into it way, way deeper in other places because we covered a lot more territory than I usually do on these interviews because of you. Thank you. It's not fluffy stuff. And that's why the results are dramatic. And you're not here to traumatize yourself. And you're not here to push yourself too far or do anything unsafe. So you go as deep as you can safely. And you can, in my experience, go deeper in the presence of another human being who will not interfere, will not try to pop you out of it, will not try to coach you through it, who doesn't know how to do this, but just having a human witness who will just silently witness you going through your process does make it safer to go deeper and come back just because they're like a safety line. But know your limits. Don't traumatize yourself. Don't dissociate. We're here to be kind to ourselves and love ourselves more and create an abundance of money and love and health and legacy through love. And that's what all this work is about.
Oh, that's a good place to end. I love that. Thank you so much for being a guest today on 52 Weeks of Hope, Morgana. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode and take with you Morgana's messages to tap into your magic, your inner knowing, and to trust your guidance. Such great messages for us to take into our week ahead. If you're not sure exactly how to do that, drop me a line at the website 52weeksofhope.com or go over to the Facebook group 52 Weeks of Hope and let's discuss it there. Or you can go ahead over to Clubhouse in the Hope Club. We have rooms in Clubhouse. So I also have a free ebook on the website 52 Weeks of Hope of how to be your best self now and to take a look at that. There's simple exercises in there to help you get to your own inner truth. Be sure to tune in next week for a special guest, Jen Poulsen. Jen's been helping women for the past 10 years overcome that negative, sabotaging self-talk and past trauma that gets in the way of your success. She gives you immediate cures to your success, and that's next week. You don't want to miss that. She's just great, full of really good information. Thank you so much for listening. Please tell 2 of your friends about the podcast, as well as leave us a positive review. I'm Lauren Abrams. Thanks for listening.